So now let's talk about how angels are working on your mind through these ideas and the love that comes with them to bring you along the path to heaven or spiritual rebirth or regeneration. This is continuing in Secrets of Heaven. When we are being reborn, then, the Lord governs us through angels. So angels are there. They would be the first to tell you can't do nothing. You were saying how much power they have. It's an appearance.
Right.
They have, sure, they have power, but they would say this all comes from God. If God didn't give it to me in this moment, I wouldn't have it. And also, something like the guidance of your life. You're not going to leave that up to an angel who, you want the man.
Mere opinion. Yeah. No, you want.
Okay.
And the beauty of that is that because one of the things about the universe is, like, we can see how much people tend to splinter or go in different directions. The whole idea of heaven is that there's this divine spirit that's organizing everything and making it all work together and making it orderly. And so, yes, you want that divine input.
He says, rebirth happens in adulthood because not until then do people think for themselves about religious truth. Okay, here's the method. Here's the angel's method. The angel's method is to anchor us in concepts that we have engraved on our minds as true, and through these true concepts to anchor us in the desire with which the concepts are so closely joined. Because a desire for truth originates in goodness, it gradually leads to goodness.
And what's so interesting about that, I know I used the analogy of someone coming in and using the materials in your house to do art, but it's very interesting that they don't bring in something new. They're just anchoring. I used the word anchor twice, that you've already got it. They just kind of glue it to the floor, or they plant it in the ground, or whatever analogy you want, right? So this person cares about loyalty to other people. Like, you shouldn't do that.
Yep.
There's a certain code. You have to be this way in this situation. And so great, we can work with that. Let's reinforce that. Let's strengthen that, And that's connected with this feeling of like, yeah, and I love these, like I would die for these people, and so, they are able to anchor the feeling to reinforce so maybe you just had it lying around in your attic somewhere, but they're able to really do something with it and make it foundational.
If we've got angels all around us all the time, and they can talk to your brain somehow, why are we sitting here reading all these sacred texts and trying to learn things? Why isn't there just, you wake up in the morning and angels tell you, here's exactly what's going on, and here's how you should act today, and here's the right way to live. But yet you look out at the human race, and it's like, most of everything we learn about this comes out of the world. You have these. This is why we're still talking about Swedenborg, who that was hundreds of years ago, 250 odd years ago, because there's the mechanics of how the whole thing works. Only the stuff that you brought into yourself in freedom, which if an angel came and told you it, doesn't leave you in freedom, because then you're like, well, an angel told me that, I have to believe it. That doesn't stick in your mind because it doesn't have the right desire that goes with the truth. Yeah. But the stuff that you, under no duress or any pressure, just, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And seeing that a little bit, and if that person did that to me, I would feel, and that moves its way through the course of your life into the sanctum of your heart, then that's what angels can call on when they need to move you toward goodness. The idea, any truth, any factoid about, though God exists, the nature of Jesus Christ, the nature of life after death, those things on their own, I'm going to get canceled for this, are relatively worthless. They're only worth something in the event that they can lead you to the good of life. Because, as you said, Swedenborg was sitting there in a religious, a theocratic country where everybody had to recite the Bible and say that you believe in God, but yet a lot of people were doing that and they were bad people. And Swedenborg said there's very little life in this church here. The truth by itself doesn't do anything, but what it does that's great is that it can lead you, anchor in your soul, so that angels can use it to lead you to the truth. It leads you to the good of life. Leads you to be a good person, to repent, regenerate, reform, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think the worst thing that happens if an angel comes down and tells you something directly is not that you just forget it pretty easily, but a lot of us are perverse and rebellious and will just do the opposite. It reminds me of the biblical story of Jonah, where God says, do this, and he gets on a ship headed in the opposite direction, goes as far away as he can. I love the wisdom that the angels have to know how to deal with us. They are us. They're ex us, Yeah. And so they realize this. Yeah, no, head on is not going to direct command. No, it's not going to be command and control. That's not going to do it. What we'll do is take the things that you've already got and we'll just magnify those, like get your mind to think about those some more, get some feelings going that connect with that.
So you have a bunch of stuff in your memory. You got a bunch of things that you've learned. You have a sense of what's going on in the world around you and how the things you're involved in are going. Like, is work going good? Is my family going good? Is other stuff going good? Think about the day-to-day, like even if little is changing in your life around you, how you can feel great about things, you can feel terrible about things. There can be people who on the outside you would think their life is going great and then they're miserable, and vice versa. What's driving that? It's because there's heaven and hell both trying to influence your mind, and hell is trying to pull out the stuff the falsities that are going to make you miserable and use that to lead you into all kinds of misery and evil. And heaven is trying to take what's good, get you to focus on that. It's like an attention war. It's like the algorithmic war inside your head.
It's one of the weirdest things that Swedenborg says, and when you first encounter it, you just think, it couldn't, what are you talking about? This is just me going through my different moods. But the more you look at yourself and you look at the moods, how they make no sense. And you can be having the best day you ever had, and then one person says one thing and you go, well, now I'm angry, and you can't even figure out, like, how did I get to here? Or you just mysteriously go into an emotional hole all of a sudden. It's like, oh, well, what am I doing down here? And when I think Swedenborg was really interested in those questions, and when he could see behind the scenes what was going on, there are other beings with us who are fighting with each other over us. Like, what we are is the real estate that they're fighting on. Yeah. We're the arena. We're not even one of the combatants. We're just the arena where these two groups are meeting, and we just experience this weird, like, suddenly this side's winning, that side's winning, in the long run, it's actually a helpful explanation because it explains stuff, weird things like how somebody suddenly, nice person living next door, suddenly goes postal and shoots everybody or something. Well, yeah, there's a fight going on in there, and you can't see it from the outside.
And you can give one of the sides home field advantage, but that's
right.
Your role.
Yes, you can. That's about the limit of your role.
That concept wasn't a problem for me when I first started to really get into it, because I was having all kinds of, I had like depression and I have negative thoughts all day. And I was just used to, if you've ever had anything like that, and everybody does, I think people, I can't stop thinking about this thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't stop thinking about? Aren't you the thinker?
Aren't you?
What do you mean you
Isn't that
can't?
You?
You don't say like, my own, I can't stop kicking myself. Like, what's going on there? So for me, I'm all day, every day, there's this, my mind is just hammering on me, like trying to get me to think about things that I don't want to think about that are going to be distressing, trying to deepen those things, trying to kind of move me from one fear to another. I have a very antagonistic relationship with it. And so to me, hearing that was like, of course, that makes sense.
One of your first ever videos was, I think, or at least a long time ago, one of your first 10, I don't know, about head bullies and things like that way back when.
Yeah.
It was so good because that's one of the great mysteries of life. It's like, why would I trash talk myself? You know, why would I have my own voice in my head telling me I'm no good, telling me I'm stupid, or, you know.
Constantly. And
why? To what end? You know, what's that doing in there? And this explains it. Swedenborg can explain that.
Yeah. If you want to, everyone watching, if you want to go take a trip back 45,000 years on YouTube, it's called Head Bullies, and the concept behind Baby Curtis, what he was trying to say was, if somebody else treated you like your mind treats you,
yes,
everybody would say you need to cut that person out of your life.
Yes, so clear.
If somebody
Who
came
would say,
up to you,
I think you should stay with that relationship. No, stop it.
Yep. So if somebody came up, if somebody was there who, whatever happened in your life, they would try to spin it negative, who was pushing these narratives on you.
And just riding you with this stuff. and grabbing, you know, an amazing talent for grabbing one moment, like an awkward interaction from decades ago. Let's play that movie again, shall we? So let's look at that, because you said a really stupid thing.
Yeah, like zoom in. So here's when you're experiencing that in your mind, what you're feeling is angels and evil spirits battling for control of your mind. So here is how that played out for Swedenborg. Going on in the same number. Much experience has proved to me that this is the case. Evil spirits have sometimes pushed evil and falsity on me. This is talking about in his mind. But because he had his spiritual eyes opened, what we don't see, the precursor to our conscious experience, he was seeing that play out. He could tell where this bad mood was coming from, and this glomming on to the things of hell. Evil spirits have sometimes pushed evil and falsity on me, and at those times I have sensed angels, empowered by the Lord, holding me to what? To the truth that had been planted in me. In this way, they withheld me from the evil and falsity.
So there's a certain core. So even though you're aware of the wind blowing, you know, the storm is going on, there's still certain core principles of like, no, you cannot convince me, whatever it is, you know, that God actually hates me, or whatever it is. There's it might be very quiet, but they're just holding this little, you know, like a concept of eternal life, or some sort of truth that they can just hold that while all this is raging around.